Come back alive.
Better late than never, I say. If you've been on this journey with us for Season 4 of Disappeared, hell, if you've been here since Season 1, you must have the patience of a mountain. Obviously, if you're one of the newer members of this channel, you've known that Jason's been working hard, like YMCA hard, interviewing families and trying to get the word out there, and sometimes honestly just doing his best to stay sane. So this week, we're going to give him a break. You've got me, Mr. Grotto. I'll be reading a couple of stories, and we're going to finish Season 4. And I promise you, after this, Season 5 on, things are going to change. Sure, you might not have his voice, but I'll be here, and hopefully you will too. So on behalf of myself and Mr. Jason Hebert himself, we wish you guys a happy holiday season, and if you want to send him a little tip for another margarita, check out the pinned comment down below. It's got a link to his PayPal.
Welcome to another episode of Disappeared Updates, where we cover every case previously featured on Investigation Discovery's hit television program Disappeared. The goal of this series is to bring you any news and developments relevant to each case since the date of its original airing on the show. If there is no new information, then it will simply serve as a refresher and reminder of the case, in hopes of spreading awareness and assisting in moving the case forward. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoy true crime stories, please subscribe below, and don't forget to click the notification bell to be alerted every time I upload a new video. Thank you.
It's been about 20 years since Tina McQuaig went missing. On March 15, 2000, she was leaving her pharmacy job at Shands Jacksonville Hospital, and she never returned home. She was married with a 4-year-old son, and it was her husband, Otis, who reported her missing. Although her Nissan Sentra was found just a few days later at a Walmart parking lot, there were no clues, and the case still continues to baffle detectives to this day. Unfortunately, one of the most recent updates in media was actually posted just before this aired on Disappeared. The Justice Coalition offered an additional $5,000 reward in the case, but unfortunately no new details have come to light. But keep your ears to the ground, because hopefully one day soon this case will be solved. On the morning of April 8, 2008, Jamie Fraley was wide awake with what she believed to be more than a normal stomach flu. She had just gotten off the phone with her mother, confiding in her that she had already been to the hospital twice within the last 24 hours. Her mother offered to take her again, but Jamie declined as she had an appointment with the Social Security office later that day. Jamie assured her mom that she would get enough rest before making the trip. Jamie Fraley was a young, blonde, 22-year-old woman living in Gaston County, North Carolina. She suffered from bipolar disorder and had problems with anxiety, but despite these challenges, she persisted. She kept in close contact with her family and attended college part-time, hoping to graduate and succeed in a career as a substance abuse counselor. Around 2 a.m., Jamie spoke with another friend telling them that she was going to the hospital, but never mentioned who would be taking her. Jamie didn't have a driver's license, and during the 2 prior trips the previous day, she had relied on friends, family, and her social worker for transportation. Those who knew Jamie knew that she would rely on the kindness of those around her, and given her disposition, the man who picked her up could have used this information with the intent to harm her. The friend who spoke with her recalls Jamie saying, "He's here," referring to her ride. But that was the last time anyone heard from Jamie, as a mysterious man never took her to the hospital for care. The next day, Jamie's social worker arrived to pick Jamie up for her appointment. But when she found the apartment locked, she reached out to Jamie's mother, Kim, who in turn asked the police for help. Officers performed a wellness check, but found no evidence in Jamie's apartment suggesting where she may have gone. Her wallet, purse, and ID were accounted for, but her phone was missing. They also noticed that Jamie's struggle with her stomach flu was as bad as she insisted it was, due to signs of vomit throughout the apartment. The only other missing item of note were the shoelaces that had been removed from her shoes that she typically wore. As a missing persons report process began, Jamie's family continued calling her phone, eventually reaching a man who picked it up while repairing utility lines about 1.5 miles away from her residence. The phone itself was deemed too contaminated for evidence by the time it was in forensics' hands, as it had been handled by too many parties without proper care. Despite having little to no rope to grasp in this investigation, the Gaston County Police Department devoted 3 investigators to the case full-time and requested assistance from both the State Bureau of Investigation as well as the FBI. Jamie's friends and family members were questioned, and a lake across the street from her home was also searched for evidence. Jamie's family conducted searches, hired additional investigators, and posted thousands of flyers hoping that anyone with information would come forward. But after 12 years, their efforts have brought them little gains despite the multitude of effort they've put in. People have speculated on Jamie's struggles with bipolar disorder and anxiety, but Jamie was actively on medication and her treatment was successful enough for her to maintain a mostly normal lifestyle. Jamie was kind, nurturing of others, and also had a plan for her life. She didn't show any signs of deprivation nor any indication of flight from her current life. She was a bright star plucked from the sky during a moment when its rays were at its brightest. Someone she knew took her, and it would have had to have been someone she knew. Jamie's fiancé at the time was incarcerated, but his father, Ricky Simonds Sr, knew Jamie well enough that he'd even driven her to the hospital during one of the trips the day before she went missing. Although the police stated he wasn't a person of interest, his incarceration during the 1980s for strangling a former girlfriend to death suggested he had the aptitude and possibly the appetite to attack Jamie. Furthermore, 2 months to the day of Jamie's disappearance, Ricky Sr. was found dead in the trunk of another former girlfriend's car due to heat stroke. Authorities believed he used a spare key to hide in her trunk and planned on assaulting her after using the emergency hatch release at some point when she'd be alone in the car. This former girlfriend had recently placed a protective order against him, and due to the trunk turning into an ex-boyfriend easy-bake oven, she avoided a fate well documented in his past.
If you've made it this far, thank you for listening, and please consider checking out some of the many other true crime videos on my channel. Please don't forget to both subscribe and click the notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. I'm Jason Hebert, and I'll see you next time.